Hi kids, it's Mrs. Fravel. How are you? Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm doing okay. Hey, today we're going to talk about reef biodiversity. So this is in our coral reefs. So we're going to talk about what other animals live in the coral reef, at least a few. Now, keep in mind, coral reefs are a highly diverse ecosystem. This is where the majority of animals in the ocean live at some point in their lives. I'm going to touch really on every group of animals today. And I'm going to try to continue to do that through all of our ecosystems. If at any time you are more curious to learn more about each of these groups of animals, including their physiology, their evolutionary history, all of the fun science behind animals, you're welcome to take my zoology class where we go into each of these of the major phyla in the animal kingdom. And we cover Porifera, Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes, which I'm actually not going to talk about today, Mollusca, Annelida, Echinodermata, oh, I don't know why I did that, and Chordata or Vertebrata. This is when my husband decides to move on. It's fine. Can you guys hear me over the lawnmower? Okay. So all of the major phyla of animals, all the major groups of animals actually have representation in coral reefs. And again, 25% of all organisms that live in the ocean at some point call the reef a home. And either during their larval phase or their adult phase or just for breeding time, all groups of animals are present on a reef system. Okay, so here we go. This one might be a long one, but let's find out about all of them. Okay, sponges. First of all, phylum Porifera. I'll try to get out of the way. I wouldn't want you to miss watching my cat in the background. So I'm going to leave my video up because she's in a mood. Anyway, so the first group of animals is the phylum Porifera. These are sponges or sea sponges, and they are the simplest animals. They are really only constructed of 4 different types of cells. They don't even have tissues. They don't have any organs. They don't have brains. They don't have eyes. They don't have tummies. They don't have mouths. They are a group of 4 different kinds of cells that share DNA and function as a body. They're filter feeders. They pull water through their body wall. I'm sorry, I have a new mouse and it's a little touchy. I'm not going to touch it. So these guys pull water through their body cavity and then out a large hole called an osculum. And they come in many different sizes and shapes and forms. They've been around even longer than corals for over 500 million years. Again, these were the first animals to evolve on planet Earth. So say hello to your ancestors, really. These guys can be vase-shaped, cone-shaped. They are also encrusting, which means they can be any shape and they just grow over whatever happens to be under them. Rocks, shells. I have a lot of seashells that are covered with encrusting sponges. I have some encrusting sponges that live in my coral reef and try to smother my corals all the time. Some of them get quite large. These are giant barrel sponges. A lot of animals take advantage of sheltering in sponges. So they're a very diverse, very old, very important group of animals. They seem super boring, but there is a video about their biology that I will link under this video on the Canvas page that you should watch, okay, and take notes from. Oh yeah, by the way, again, I just always figure that you're going to be taking notes because as a good student, that's what you do. Oh, look, my dog has joined us as well. That's Daisy. It's always fun in the Fravel house. Anyway, you should be taking notes. The end. Go grab a piece of paper. I'll wait. You can pause me. Are you back? Okay, great. Okay. So that was sponges. Another important group of animals on the reef are tubeworms. These are another filter feeder. And let's talk really quickly about the role that filter feeders play in a marine ecosystem or in a freshwater ecosystem for that matter as well. These guys are like an air filter in your home. They are pulling in water and removing any organic debris and plankton, dead stuff, macromolecules that might be in the water that, if they get out of balance, can cause a problem with bacterial buildup and algae buildup in the ocean. So these guys are keeping everything in balance by keeping the water clean. Tubeworms are cousins to earthworms. They're in the same phylum, Annelida, and they're actually segmented little worms that build or dig a burrow around their soft body. And the prettiest ones are Christmas tree worms and frilled worms. And they're very vulnerable to predation. So they hide, they build a shell burrow around themselves. Sometimes it's a leathery, soft encasing around their body. And then they stick these beautiful structures out. These are their gills and their feeding structures around their mouths. Let's see, I've got a short video right here. Let's see. Oh yeah, look how pretty they are. These are Christmas tree worms. These guys will live embedded in coral or embedded in sea cucumbers. So cute. They bloom. Here we go. Okay, so they use those appendages, those feathery, beautiful appendages for oxygen food, and then they can retreat down inside them, inside their burrows. See you, bye-bye. Merry Christmas, worms. Okay? Okay. So those are annelids, or worms that live in the coral reef. And I've seen quite large ones, so those look pretty small, but I've seen two worms on the Belize Caribbean reef that their fan was bigger than both of my hands. So they can get rather large. Okay. Now echinoderms, phylum Echinodermata, you guys know these best as sea stars or starfish. They are very important, and the diversity on them is just so amazing. Again, it's an old group. They're brainless, they are fairly simple, they have radial symmetry, kind of like the cnidarians, like the corals, but they have spiny skin, and they have a complete digestive system. Some of them have rudimentary brains. The coolest thing about them, geez, you guys, I'm so sorry. This mouse is really sensitive. The coolest thing about them, I think, is they regenerate. They can regenerate any part of their body fairly quickly. I have a starfish that I rescued that, actually I have two starfish in my tank that one I rescued because he only had 2 legs, so I brought him home, and he grew the legs back, and then someone else in my tank, I don't know who, but apparently I have somebody in my tank that likes to eat starfish legs, so both of my starfish are now regenerating legs, and they grow them back fairly quickly as long as they have a good food source. These guys are very important predators, and they move on little tube feet. They're very cool. If we're back in the classroom still next week, maybe I'll bring in some starfish for you guys to play with. That might be cool, right? Their vascular system, they don't have blood and they don't have hearts. They power their bodies with water. It's all done with water, and their little tube feet and their muscles are all full of water, and that's how they move. They're very cool. And then sea cucumbers, these look like giant mushy worms, but they aren't. They are echinoderms, and they're soft, but you can feel they kind of have little spicules, little spines in their skin. Again, very important in terms of keeping the reef clean, because they are little vacuums. Wow, I don't know what is going on with I'm not going to touch the mouse ever again. Sea cucumbers, holy cow, I wonder if I should start this over. No, let's just keep going. These guys are vacuums of the sea, so they're detritivores. They just kind of goosh around, sucking up sand, and the sand will go through their digestive system. They'll digest any organic matter like dead stuff or even poo that's on the sand. They'll digest that, and out the other end, clean sand. So if you ever go to the beach, you're playing in sea cucumber poo, but it's fine. They're clean. The coolest thing about sea cucumbers is that their major defense mechanism is that when they're threatened, they will eject their digestive system out of their butt. So they eviscerate themselves, and that those intestines, those gut structures are covered with irritating slime, so a predator won't eat them. And then their guts, either they can, sometimes they can pull them back in, but most of the time they just let them go, and then they have to regrow their digestive system. And they can. Isn't that cool? I think that's cool. Okay. And here's one eating. You've probably seen this if you've seen one of the Blue Planet episodes is this guy. So that is a sea cucumber, and it is filtering the water on those big fronds and then sticking them in his mouth. So he's filter feeding with that. Weird. Okay, another group of animals, of course, the mollusks. So mollusks is phylum Mollusca, and this includes clams, snails, and cephalopods. Clams including giant clams. These are tridacna clams. There's smaller ones called maxima clams. All over the ocean. Again, filter feeders, very good at keeping water clean. And then snails, like these are ninja star snails. I have one of those in my tank. They keep algae under control. And then this is a trident snail. Kind of scary. Snails are actually can be really cool predators. We kind of think of them as little passive algae eaters, but they can be pretty aggressive in terms of eating other things, and sometimes they'll eat dead stuff, but they can be active hunters that will hunt clams, fish, crabs, all kinds of stuff. Okay, and also there's again, you guys, this list that I'm giving you is not even close to what is actually represented in there. And then of course the cephalopods. So cephalopods are the weird mollusks that include octopus, squid, and cuttlefish. Squid are mostly pelagic. I'm going to talk about them when we talk about the pelagic zone. But octopus, man, I'm obsessed with these guys right now. I'm reading a really good book about octopus. These guys are one of the most intelligent animals that we've ever discovered, and their intelligence is so much different and yet so similar to ours. It's crazy. And then cuttlefish, these guys are masters of camouflage and disguise. Their skin contains 3 different layers of cells that can change color and reflect and refract light. They can also change the texture of their skin in 0.7 seconds. It's crazy. It's so cool. So these guys are predators. Most of these are, yeah, these guys are all predators in a reef system. Okay, and wow, they're cool. Take my zoology class. They're so cool. All right. Nudibranchs are kind of a weird kind of mollusk that are also pretty popular right now. Nudies they're like a sea slug. They're beautiful. And these guys have a really cool ability. Some of them will eat the cnidocytes and nematocysts from a jellyfish or from coral, and they'll incorporate those in their own tissues. So that's where they get a lot of their colors. They will incorporate the zooxanthellae into their own tissues, and they'll also incorporate, and we don't know how they do this, but they get those cnidocytes into their own frills, and then they use them as defense against predators. So these guys are like snails without shells, all uncoiled. And nudibranch refers to their gills, so their gills are outside of their body, all frilly and pretty and stuff. Okay, and fish. So many fish in a reef, you guys. There are tens of thousands of species of fish that are associated with coral reefs. These are just a few that I really like. Clownfish. This is a mandarin dragonet. I love them. Again, I don't know. And then we have butterfly fish. These guys are important for keeping corals under control because they'll eat corals with those little beaks. That's a wrasse. I want to say it's a wrasse. Tangs, and then that is a cowfish, which is related to a puffer. It's a type of boxfish. Super cute, super cute. These are all in the bony fish category. It's a class called Osteichthyes, bony fish. This bony fish account for over, I want to say over 50% of all animals, vertebrate animal species. something like that. There's a crazy number of fish, and I could never tell you about all of them. Many of them on a coral reef also have really important implications to human society. Many of them are the main source of protein for many communities that live on coastal areas, on islands. And these guys, not so much, but there are things like jacks, there are reef trout, cod, all sorts of things that people really rely on for food. Okay? And then, of course, again, you guys, just so you know, I love weird things. So eels are fish. They are not snakes. They look like snakes, kind of, but they are fish. They're a bony fish, and this is a moray eel. And the reason that they do that is to move water through their gills. They don't have bony flaps over their gills like other bony fish. They really have to pull water through. And this is a ribbon eel. Gaping, I want to say it's a gaping ribbon eel. They swim with their mouths open. They have these little tufts on their nose. And then there's also snowflake eels. They're a really diverse and beautiful group, and they just have reduced fins on their bodies, reduced scales. They're very slippery. Okay. And then, but we do have actual snakes that live in reefs. Sea snakes, totally snakes. Stay away from them. No. These guys live around Australia and Indonesia in the Indo-Pacific warm, shallow seas. They are an air-breathing snake that does come on land to lay their eggs, but they hunt and live in the water. And their bodies are kind of laterally flattened with this flat oar-like tail. There's another video. I will, again, link it under here. You should watch it because Jonathan Burns is my favorite marine biology guy. Okay, all right. Whew. Sharks and rays. Now this is another group of fish. So there are two major groups of fish. The other ones I just showed you other than the snake. Remember, the snake was a snake, not a fish. Snakes are reptiles. The other ones were fish. Those were bony fish. These guys are cartilaginous fish. So that's another class of fish, including sharks, rays, skates, and ratfishes. And their skeletons, except for their jaws, are made of cartilage. If you want to know what cartilage is, grab your ear and bend it and twist it. So their whole skeleton is like that or the end of your nose. That's where your cartilage is. There's their whole skeleton except for their jaw. Again, the diversity on a reef is crazy. In terms of sharks, we get white-tipped reef sharks, black-tipped reef sharks. Whoops, sorry, that's a black-tipped reef shark. They're so pretty. I swam them with those in Belize or Costa Rica, and they're not aggressive at all. I'm sorry. Not aggressive, just kind of cruise around hunting for little fish. And then that's a gray shark. You do want to watch out for tiger sharks. If you ever are out diving, swimming, and you see a tiger shark, get out of the water. They're aggressive, kind of scary. I don't like them. And then in terms of rays, we have rays all over the place in reefs. We have some more pelagic rays, like mantas and spotted eagle rays, which are gorgeous, and they flap out in the open water. So they're not benthic. They don't live on the benthic. They are open water flying. And then we have like stingrays of all sorts that are benthic, and they eat animals that are hiding in the substrate. Okay. Whew. Turtles. Turtles. Sea turtles. Aren't they the best, you guys? Most sea turtles spend most of their lives out in the open ocean. They migrate thousands of miles, like across the ocean, but they do have to, at some point, come to land to breed and lay their eggs. And so you'll find them around coral reefs, and usually during the warmer months, especially if you go to the coast. Watch out for turtles in nesting areas. So this is, let me make sure, hope I get these right. This is an olive ridley sea turtle, which are the smallest ones. They're adorbs. This is a loggerhead hawksbill, and this is a green sea turtle, and this is a picture that I took in Maui. There's a place off of Maui that is thick with green turtles, and green turtles are mainly they're the only truly herbivorous sea turtle. So they eat algae, they eat seagrass, and they'll sometimes munch on a sponge as well. This is my daughter with a sea turtle. And if you're ever diving, or when we go to the aquarium, you'll see sea turtles just like hanging out at the bottom, or sometimes they jam themselves underneath rocks, and you think, oh my God, that sweet sea turtle's dying. It's dead. It's drowned. Oh my heck. They nap underwater. They can hold their breath for 15, 20 minutes. And so they'll still just they'll tuck themselves under a rock and take a little snoozle where it's safe. Don't bother them. Don't ever touch them. They're all endangered, so you can't harass them. Okay, stay away from them. You can watch them, but don't touch them. Okay? It's very stressful. It's very stressful on animals to be touched and chased, and any stress costs energy, and they might not have that energy to spare. So don't chase animals, especially not for a selfie. Don't do that. Just don't. Okay. Anyway, these were adorable. Okay, and then of course we have birds that are associated with the coral reef. Of course, birds don't live underwater, right? They are land animals, but seabirds are birds that exclusively eat marine food sources. And we've got all kinds that nest near the ocean, near the shore, migrate through, and will take advantage of food resources like fish. Mainly these guys are eating fish in the water. So we get, these are some of my favorites, terns. They're like a tiny sharp gull. They look like a seagull, only like badass. They're awesome, and they fly thousands of miles to migrate. Of course, you all know about gulls, seagulls, shearwaters. This is a sea eagle, a white-bellied sea eagle. They are big and majestic. There's a few species of sea eagle. And then brown pelicans. You can find pelicans everywhere. And very often seabirds are in trouble because their nesting sites are threatened by egg-robbing invasive species like rats. And then, where am I going to get out of the way here? Okay. Marine mammals. They're the best, right? So again, marine mammals, for the most part, they exploit whatever territory food source they can find, and most of them are predators, carnivorous predators, except for the dugongs and manatees. So manatees don't really associate much in coral reefs because they graze on grass. You can sometimes see them if there's a seagrass bed associated with a coral reef. Dugongs are out in like the tropical Pacific Ocean, around the Great Barrier Reef, and around Saudi Arabia. They have them around Dubai. And these guys are munchers. They really are sea cows. And dugongs look like manatees, except they've got a bigger snoot, and their tail is not a big paddle, it's more like a dolphin. They're more equipped to swim in the open ocean, whereas manatees are just big schlubby paddly things. And then of course we have bottlenose dolphins and sea lions, seals. Sometimes we get small whales. And here's a fun fact about what bottlenose dolphins do on the reef. They like to play. So they've been known to pick up sea stars, sponge fragments, urchins, shells, and they play with them. They'll pass them back and forth to each other. I should have found a video because I love them. But the funnest thing about them is that they will find a puffer fish and they will irritate it so that it puffs itself up. So a puffer fish is a fish that when they get threatened, they will inflate their body with water. And it will very often be covered with little thorny spikes. And they do that for defense. What they also have in their tissues are toxins, like poisonous proteins in their tissues. And there's some strength to a hypothesis that the dolphins actually do this to get a little high from the pufferfish. Do not try it. Don't be stupid. It's going to kill you. But that's very often why dolphins will play with things like that. Okay. Okay. Did you get all that? You should know, for the test, you should be able to tell me examples of animals found in the reef. Not down to species specific, but you should be able to recognize some of these animals that I showed you, okay? And for your assignment today, if you are working from home and you're watching this, I will allow you to do this as a Google Slides assignment instead of on paper. But if you're in class with me, I would like you to draw me some pictures. I want you to research, and highlight one species of reef-dwelling sponge, and that's the important thing. the animals that you find and represent have to be reef dwellers, not open ocean, not deep ocean, not sandy shore, not rocky shore. They have to be a coral reef example specimen, okay? So I want a reef dwelling sponge, a reef dwelling mollusk. That can be a snail, a clam, or a cephalopod, like an octopus, or cuttlefish. You guys are so cool. I would also like at least one species of coral reef-dwelling fish. You can do a bony fish or one of the cartilaginous shark or rays, and then pick an animal that hangs out in the coral reef. Was there any of those groups of animals that were particularly interesting to you? Pick one. What I would like you to tell me about each animal is their common name, their scientific name. And to do that, all you need to do is Google their common name with the words scientific name, and it will tell you. It'll be 2 words, a genus and a species. I want to know what they eat, their diet. I want to know their predators, if they have any, and their range. So what reefs are they found on? Where in the world are they found? And then give me a fun fact, okay? So I want 4 in total. And I'm not going to grade you on your artistic ability. Do your best. Be neat about it, and color it for me, okay? Again, if you're working at home, you are welcome to do this on paper and then just upload pictures of them to the assignment, or you can do it as a Google Slides and just use appropriate pictures that you can find on the internet with the correct usage rights. Okay. Well, I think that's it for me today. Go watch the other videos that I've linked under this, and have a beautiful day. I will see you soon.